I cut a design into this piece of maple with my CNC. It could be done with a scroll saw. Well, maybe not this exact pattern, but a pattern of each of these could be done on a scroll saw. I did not cut all the way through on the CNC. There's about 1/10 of an inch of material in the bottom. And then once I get this sawdust cleaned up, I'm going to pour epoxy in those, and that bottom will hold the epoxy. I am ready to pour some epoxy into this feature ring. Each of these will be a segment, and I am going to pour some black epoxy just into this ellipse. Then after that cures for a day or two, I will be able to pour the colored epoxy into the other two without mixing the two epoxies. Okay, so I am ready to pour the second color in, which is going to be yellow, which will fill the center and the outer ellipse. The black is down about 1/8 of an inch, so it'll fill that too, but I'll turn that off. This one will be easier because I just pour. I am ready to cut segments. I have each piece marked on the right side of the segment with a line going the direction I want it to go. I am going to cut the right side on every one of those lines. This one is marked on the left side, and I'll show that when I get to it, but I only have one marked on the left side. So I'll show a cut or two. So for the left side, I have set up this clamp and stop block. I'm using a piece that I had cut off of the end just to provide a stable base. And then clamping it. In this first piece, I had the line. I use that to set up where the stop clamp or the stop block goes. That's going to be used for all of them. So I'll show a couple of them, a couple of cuts. So the final test was to put it together. I've got the Wingate splines in between each segment. The joints all look really good. So it's ready to glue up. Well, it's an awful weather day here in South Carolina, but I'm going to be cutting an accent ring for both sides of the feature ring on the Pendulum light cover. I'm doing it out of Wingate, and I'm going fairly thick so I can drill a hole in the middle of each segment. I'm going to cut some segments, and I'll show a couple. So before I drill holes in these to pour epoxy in, I just want to make sure the segments fit together, and they do. So I am going to put a 5/8 inch hole in the middle of each segment, and I've got this piece marked. I don't know if you can see it or not, but basically the point is now going down right in the middle, so that should put a hole right in the middle of the segment, and then I can take this out and put the next one in and bump it up against everything, and it should be the same exact spot. So basically it's a stop block and on my XY clamp. And there it is, pretty much right down the middle. You do get a little bit of tear out on the inside, but I have this plenty thick enough to turn. So what I have here are the 24 segments for making the 2 accent rings in the pendulum lamp cover. I have a bluish pigmented epoxy. Stir it up. I'm going to pour it in. But it'll go together something like that to be turned. So now that I have all the rings made, I need to flatten them and reduce the height a little bit. These should be 1 inch. So I start off by gluing this would be the top ring on the pendulum lamp cover to a scrap ring on a faceplate. The only key dimension, critical dimension, on this piece is the ID right here. It needs to be 1 5/8 so that that threaded piece can screw in and hold it onto the fixture. The hole is maybe a 1/16 too big, but that's close enough. Okay, I have this face flattened, other than this little tiny bit that'll get turned off. So it's time to glue the next ring on. So I've been working the pendulum light cover. I turned the outside to be round and the inside pretty well done and sanded up to this point. So the inside is almost completely turned. Lamp cover actually broke down in here yesterday when I was trying to turn it without the steady rest. Didn't really seem like it was wobbling, but it must have been a defect in the wood down there. But it was a clean break. I was able to catch it. And I glued it back on, and you can't even see the seam. So it is ready to finish the outside turning. I need to taper this down a little bit more, and then I'll come back and see if I can get any more out of the inside. Well, that's pretty much the final shape on the outside. I'm gonna go back and see if I can get a little bit more on the inside. I still have, so I thought I had this finished, but then I went and tried it on the lamp fixture, and I'm just a little too fat here. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've got about a 1/2 inch wall thickness. I need to take down like an 1/8 to 3/16. Looks like it's worked to me, and I used my bowl gouge and got a really nice finish there. But I only had to go back to about there, and it still looks like a nice even taper. So I'm going to go ahead and sand it, put some more friction polish on it, and carnauba wax, and